Here.
Okay, are we ready to go? All right, good afternoon. It is 4:45 PM and I would like to call the Public Works and Property Vacation Committee meeting to order. Clerk Bianca Torato, I believe you have some comments to make before we begin.
Good afternoon, members of the public. For audio quality, we will be muting everyone not speaking by default to maintain good audio quality for council members and yourselves. If you would like to speak during the meeting, during the public portion, please submit your request in the chat. Directions to do so will be listed in the chat. We ask that you provide your full name and address, as those are required for all speakers at in-person council meetings.
Thank you kindly. Would you like to call the roll for us too, please?
Committee Chair Niskoski,
Present.
Councilmember Vice Chair White,
Present.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson,
Present.
Councilmember Dr. Davis is excused. Citizen Member Carl Luttrell,
Present.
Citizen Member Jason Piontek,
Present.
5 present.
Okay, thank you so much. We do have a quorum, so I'm going to go ahead and open and have a little discussion over Bill 6424. Is the petitioner here for this bill? Okay.
Yes. Yes, the petitioner's here.
Okay, would you like to come forward, approach and let us know? I mean, you don't have to, but normally we would ask if you would, let us know why you would like to vacate the alley. And if you could state your name and address for the record, please.
That's if you can hear me. I've been working on I have a a nerve problem in my face.
I understand.
So I drool constantly and I can't chew properly and so forth.
Oh, that's okay.
So I got no feeling. My name is Eduardo Rodriguez. I live at 512 South Walnut. And what else do you need to know?
That's all I need. And just why you would like to vacate the alleyway.
Over the course of the years, since I've been at this house, I've been dealing with trash constantly been thrown. When there's events at Pulaski Park and all the parking's full, they tend to come park next to my house alongside. And constantly there's people walking through on the side of the tracks or going through the alley as a shortcut. And lately, there's been a lot of people like partying behind my house because it's a dark area. I put more lighting, but that doesn't help. And I got, like right now, I got tires thrown out there and now I'm responsible for it. So I got, take care of that. I've been coming out of pocket money after money trying to maintain my property. And I just figured maybe the best way to do is vacate the alley and put a privacy fence around it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So and there's always incidents going on around the neighborhood. So it's like a shortcut when
Yep.
people want to run away to get away if they're running from the law. It gets hectic sometimes.
I understand.
And that's the main problem. So
Okay.
anything else?
No, that pretty much sums it up.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. I have actually looked at this property. One of our other members on the committee has drove by that property as well. Clerk Bianca, could you pull this bill up so we can take a look at the map? Thank you. I was talking with Carl here, he's on our committee, and What he has discovered with this particular property is that there's a small piece of this property that's shaped, it's cut kind of like a pie shape. And the railroad actually owns that. And it looks like they have expanded that. So the part that people are driving through, they're actually driving through on the property of the railroad. That should be a dead end to where your property, there's like, looks like there's a retaining wall with some steps right there in front of your property. Is that correct? And along that alley should just dead end, but obviously they've been driving through it and created an alley. But that little pie shape there that's in the mapping is owned by the railroad. Mr. Luttrell, do you want to elaborate on that a little further? Because I want to make sure you have a clear understanding what this vacation means and what it could do. Okay, if you're going to speak, you do have to come up to the microphone and state your name and address for the record, ma'am. I'm sorry.
It's Elisa Prieto, and that's my son.
Okay.
Are you talking
Well,
about the
and
vacant
Could you give your
lot?
address too for the record?
56349 Butternut Road, South Bend, Indiana.
Thank you.
Are you talking about the vacant lot right next to the railroad?
Matthew, could you pull the section of this ordinance up where it shows the properties?
Because his house is on 512 and the vacant
Okay,
lot
right there.
next to it.
That would work. So you see where it shows the 512 South Walnut? And then there's a little piece, if you see where it doesn't come all the way through where that alley, that red line is, there's a little piece right there that's oddly cut that runs along Penn Central, which is the railroad.
Yes.
The railroad owns that property. So the people who may be using that as a turnaround or driving through to the alley that's connected to his property, which would be on the south side of his property, are doing so illegal. So the easiest way, if you're wanting to put a fence up, I believe would be I would put up some no trespassing signs. But the fence, you can put up the fence. You're going to need to have it surveyed to find out exactly where your property is. And you could put it up right along that railroad. And the only reason I say that is because they're driving on someone else's property right now anyway. So that should be a dead end. You have the ability to do that and put a fence on your property like you want to do. If you go through with the alley vacation, you have no access to your property. You'll have because they're going to make you eliminate that driveway approach and they're going to make you put in a sidewalk so that you are not able to access the property. And that means that little piece of property you own on the other side of where I think I've seen a pickup truck parked there before. So if you eliminate that, you will have no access to either of those properties. And I don't know if that was fully explained to you, but where else would you park other than behind, which that is a north-south alleyway that if you go north, you go to Pulaski Park and then you see where you would have no access to your property.
But he has access off Walnut.
Right, but if you go through with the alley vacation process, they are going to make him eliminate the driveway approach.
Why? He owns 514 South Walnut, which is right next to 512.
Unless I'm wrong. Am I wrong, Carl?
Well, you could go to the engineering department and request a new curb cut. And I would think that it would be granted on the same location as the existing one. This is one of the strangest things I've seen in 35 years of looking at things like this.
There's no,
But I think the practical thing to do, at least at the current time, is to put a fence up at the property line, and that blocks everybody from making that circuit that bothers you. Short of putting a gate at Walnut Street, I don't know what can prevent people from turning in there who've been doing it for a while.
I'm still confused because he owns 514 South Walnut, which is next to the railroad tracks. We've been paying taxes on that property.
Right,
Yeah.
but there would be no access to the property if you vacate that alley.
I was hoping to vacate the alley and seal off the back end to prevent people from coming in through the back, but leave access of entrance and going out off of Walnut.
Right, and you can do that now. You can do that now. I would suggest you get a surveyor to see exactly where your property is. But right now, that is not supposed to curve around, and it's all bumpy and rutted and everything, you know, in that back part, because people have just done that. You have the ability to put a fence up right now
And the
If-
back end.
in the back end, but you're gonna need to know exactly where your property line abuts to the railroad, because that is that little sliver, the railroad owns that. So they're driving on the railroad's property. I can tell you, they're not gonna do anything about that probably. But for you to stop what's going on, and it sounds like there's quite a bit going on, you can still put a fence. You just need to get a surveyor or somebody that can tell you where the property lines are. Because if you vacate that east-west alley, you then will have no access to your property. Unless, and the elevation shift is such that, I don't know, it would be tough to try and move that then over and then ask for another curb cut. I'm just want to make sure that you have all the information. I see, if there is someone from the city here that would like to elaborate at all,
Please do.
to see if I am, on the right track here. Thank you kindly for coming today too. I wanted to make sure
Yeah.
you have the right information.
Because next to the railroad track, it's a bunch of trees and brush.
Yep. I know exactly where you're talking.
Good afternoon, Chris Dressel, City of South Bend Department of Community Investment with offices on the 14th floor of this building. I think myself and representative from engineering are here. I think we're trying to guide through these processes for these kind of questions, just to talk about what the opportunities might be with a vacation. So Mr. Rodriguez wants to try to aid the conversation. We're talking about, I don't have a pointer here, but when we're talking about these parcels, the parcel immediately to the north of the railroad is the railroad owned parcel. The one to the south of the alley subject to vacation is 514 South Walnut, and then the one
Mhm.
north of it is 512. So the 514 does not have a structure. So if proceeding with a successful vacation of the alley, as noted, would be a loss of that access. 514 without a structure would not be permitted for access without missing a structure. So it's 512 that we want to maintain access to, correct? So it might be, I think, need to reestablish the access. And it may be, it could potentially though use the same space to access the lot. If there's going to be two lots that will be now joined together by the alley, I think there's an opportunity there. But I think the location of the new access is key here, depending where it's located.
It'd be right off of where you come over those tracks.
yeah.
And it would, even with that elevation shift, would be difficult. So, Chris, so was I not incorrect then that if they were to vacate that, I mean, it would join their properties, but it would essentially lose his access to be able to get to his properties? Because you would make them eliminate the driveway approach and put in a sidewalk, if I read that correctly.
Well, my understanding that, any reestablishment of the access would, I think as Carl noted, would require a permission.
From the
uh,
engineer.
To do that, and Gemma could comment on that further, but I think it's sort of key where that access would go. Because there's still two parcels here. You'd have obviously you'd have a divide down the middle of the alley. And obviously Mr. Rodriguez owns both sides, so that's it makes, so it's a sensible move. But otherwise, you have to consider that the two parcels still exist and your access has to be, it's the access to 512 versus 514. That's the entering question, I think.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. I'm going to come to the committee members. Is there any questions from the committee members?
I just want to say, I'm so sorry you're going through this. I hope we can work this out.
Well, he's requesting the vacation
Right.
process.
I don't want him to lose his access.
Right. That's, Mr. Luttrell?
My comment is that the easiest thing to do would be just to put up the barricade fence or something to prevent people from making this trip. Once you vacate the alley, then you subject to all kinds of development standards for zoning and one thing another. And you have a small lot at 512 and a larger lot at 514. And how you might have to do some juggling of the boundary between the property in order to have parking on 512 and possibility of future development on 514. If you vacate the alley right now, you're opening up so many different situations that might bind you up in the future. If you're satisfied with the occupancy of your property at 512 and 514 the way you're doing it now, and you just want to get rid of the traffic coming through, to my own idea, getting rid of putting up a fence and a sign that says no through traffic or something like that should work. I would think that the Board of Public Works could work with you to develop a proper sign and notice on the barricade so that people don't turn in so often and have to turn around and come back out.
Okay.
We're only talking about, what is it, 10 feet? 12 feet? Yeah, just to drive it in and out. I mean. Mijo, come up here. Because there's already a fence, because we've got a shed on 512, right next to the fence, and there's already a fence back
Mhm.
there behind it. All we want to do is, and then right next to that fence is the road where people come in and out. Yeah,
I would
which,
like to put a fence up just straight across and put a dead end sign, but no, what do you call it, through traffic, or something to that effect.
The reason for the recommendation for a surveyor is to find out where exactly on the ground is the railroad's property and where is the alley and where is your property so that a fence could be put up.
yeah, we can do that.
And you can
Get a
do that.
surveyor. Yeah. mhm.
But if you go down this path, it may hinder you more than help with the result that you want. But it's ultimately your decision to make.
And get the surveyor done first, and then we will proceed after that.
And put a fence.
I would recommend that you talk this over with people who've done this before and can be your advocate for a change. And you don't spend money unnecessarily.
Done that?
Yeah,
Okay,
we
I'm
just
going
get a
to,
surveyor, we can fence it in and close it.
yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, Gemma?
Gemma Stanton, Southman Engineering, 13th floor of this building. I just want to clarify too, if he can fence in his property, but the way the alley dead ends, it dead ends into the railroad property. So if that can't be barricaded there unless the railroad wants to do that. So yes, he can fence in his property, but at this time, without talking to the railroad, there couldn't necessarily be a physical barrier preventing people from driving. So I want to make that clear.
The Board of Public Works could allow a barricade in the alley right at the very end.
That's
And-
something we'd have to
and
talk to
then-
them about.
Then they
Yes,
could put
but-
their own fence on 512 and 514 on the boundary with the railroad property.
Yes, but that eastern boundary of the alley goes against the railroad property, so we have, no one here has control over that parcel. I just wanted to make that.
Understood, understood. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open it up for the public hearing portion. Is there anyone here wishing to speak in favor of Bill 6424?
I do not see anyone in person wishing to speak in favor of the bill.
Is there anyone wishing to speak against?
I do not see anyone in person or online wishing to speak in opposition.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to close the public hearing on Bill 6424 and bring it back to the committee.
I would
Councilmember.
I would
White.
ask the petitioner to decide whether he wants to proceed with the vacation or to put it in abeyance, at least for the time being, to make a decision whether to go on with this. I'm torn, but which way to go? If you want to do the vacation, I could support that, but it opens up a big can of worms that I don't know that you realize what you're getting into. I don't want to
And
promise more than I should, but that's the way I see it.
And so just so you guys know the process, once there's a recommendation from this committee, this goes to the full council this evening. And then that's when it is voted on to either accept this request or to deny it. And you also have the ability to pull this, I believe, which would then give you a year to then do some further research and come back, I believe. Is that proper, Chris? It's a year, isn't it? If you, yeah, but I mean, we just want to make sure that you had all the information, and what we do right now is going to affect what happens to your property at our 7 o'clock meeting. Councilwoman White?
Chair, that was, I'm sorry, that was my concern, is that the petitioner is fully aware of what the options are.
Right.
And if he cannot make those decisions now, I would feel more comfortable with giving him the time to look at those options.
Yeah, since you explained this to me, I much would rather she said, contact the railroad company, talk about the situation, get a surveyor, get some more information, put that together, maybe reschedule this and talk more about it. That sounds more better to me.
So if we table this indefinitely right now, Mr. Palmer, our attorney, and then he wants to come back to us, isn't it just a matter of a motion to remove from the table and then it would be able to be brought back at the next meeting?
That's correct. If you table it indefinitely, the option would be to table it to a date certain. And then if he needs more time, you could table it again.
Or we could table it with no date and still have the option to remove it from the table during his decision process. It would
Which
just,
require one more vote by the council.
or we
Yeah.
could just give a date. So, sir, what's your feeling?
Not just stated what I'd like to do now. As far as, I
Okay.
don't know how long the process takes, so if you say a year, then within a year and, get my stuff done and just noted that I'll reschedule if possible, or go through the whole thing again. So
Right.
I don't know how the procedures are.
Chris, you look like you want to say something.
Chris Dressel, office of the 14th floor of this building. Just wanted to offer to Mr. Rodriguez, I mean, we're here for the technical support.
Thank you.
And any further conversation, if he should choose to pull or table the item for today. So we can help provide further guidance.
And it sounds like it made that we just table it, if we could set out a date here and then just back in touch with us as to what steps you want to do. So maybe do like a 6-month. Can somebody give me what that date would be? And I'd like to thank everybody for their input to make sure that our residents are fully informed. Thank you, Chris, for being here, and Gemma. Is it? Okay, so that would be June 9th. So I would like to entertain a motion that Bill 6424 be tabled in this committee and revisited on June the 9th, 2025.
So move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Could you call the roll for us, Clerk Toronto?
Councilmember Bolden Simpson,
Aye.
Councilmember Vice Chair White. Committee Chair Nisgowsky,
Aye.
Citizen Member Carl Latrell,
Aye.
Citizen Member Jason Piontek.
Aye.
5 ayes.
Thank you so much. Bill will be tabled till June the 9th of next year. So if you have any questions between now and then, just feel free to reach out. Thank you so much. No, your business is concluded. I see Mr. Dressler is there, so he'll be able to guide you further. Thank you. Okay, with no further business before this committee, we're going to adjourn the Public Works and Property Vacation Committee. And again, I would like to thank my citizen members for your time at today's meeting. Meeting's adjourned. Okay, I would like to now call to order the Personal and Finance meeting. It is now 5:12 p.m. Clerk Toronto, if you could take the toll.
Committee Chair Nisgowsky,
Present.
Councilmember Vice Chair Warner, Councilmember Lee,
Present.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan,
Present.
Councilmember White,
Present.
Citizen Member Angela Smith, Citizen Member Ross Deal. 6 present.
Ross, you could come sit up here. We have a couple seats. If you'd like to sit up. Thank you so much. We do have a quorum for this meeting. And first, before we start, I believe we need to make a motion to accept the substitute Bill 66-24.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Clerk Toronto, could you call the roll, please?
Committee Chair Nisgowsky,
Aye.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
Councilmember Lee,
Aye.
Councilmember Vice Chair Warner, Citizen Member Ross Deal.
Aye.
6 ayes.
Thank you. The substitute bill has been accepted, and I see we have with us our city controller.
Yes, Kyle Willis, City Controller, offices on the 12th floor. Substitute bill number 6624 for budget transfers. We have in your packet, as you can see, we have a good bit, so I just want to go through a few and answer any additional questions. $200,000 budget transfer from the general fund for the fire department EMS division. The transfer is to cover capital lease purchase expenses and repair and maintenance expenses in the EMS division. And Fund 279, which is Innovation and Technology, $130,000 budget transfer to cover supplies and equipment expenditures. And then our Fund 711, which is our self-funded employee benefits fund, $225,806 budget transfer to cover expenses related to our wellness provider. So with that, I will open it up for any additional questions.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll bring it to the committee. Do you have any questions over any of the transfers? Nope, seeing none. Thank you so much, Mr. Willis. I'm going to go to the public hearing portion. Is there anyone here from the public wishing to speak in favor of substitute bill 6624?
I do not see anyone in person or online wishing to speak in favor of the bill.
Is there anyone wishing to speak against?
I do not see anyone in person or online wishing to speak in opposition.
Thank you. I'm going to close the public hearing on the bill and bring it back to the committee. Is there any questions you have for our controller, or entertain a motion to send the substitute bill 6624 to the full council with a favorable recommendation?
I'll move that,
Or actually, I believe that goes to the committee of the whole.
the committee of the whole with a favorable recommendation.
Do I have a second? Second. It's been moved and seconded. Clerk Toronto, could you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Vice Chair Warner,
Aye.
Committee Chair Nisgowsky,
Aye.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
Councilmember Lee,
Aye.
Citizen Member Ross Steele.
Aye.
6 ayes.
Thank you. Substitute Bill 6624 will be sent to the Committee of the Whole with a favorable recommendation. So we're moving right on to Substitute Bill 6724. I'd like to make a motion to accept the substitute bill. Been moved and seconded. Clerk Toronto, could you call the roll, please?
Councilmember White, Councilmember Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
Councilmember Lee,
Aye.
Councilmember Vice Chair Warner,
Aye.
Committee Chair Nisgowsky,
Aye.
Citizen Member Ross Steele.
Aye.
6 ayes.
The substitute bill has been accepted. It's all yours, Mr. Willis.
Substitute Bill 67-24 for additional appropriations. Unlike previous years, we do not have a lot this year, so highlight a few of these. Fund 287, Fire Department Capital Fund, appropriation of $700,000 for the purchase of new fire trucks. What we had budgeted for the purchase of new trucks came in a lot higher than was expected, so that is the justification behind this appropriation. Fund 600, Building Department, appropriation of $1,127,792 is to be appropriations for the county payment and city payment. This is the profit sharing split between the county and city in their interlocal agreement. And the Fund 702, Police Pension, appropriation of $300,000 to cover related costs to the 1925 pension plan. With this appropriation, these costs are related to the pension checks that go out to those retirees, and these expenses will be reimbursed by the state. So if there's any other questions, I'll answer those.
Okay, thank you so much for your report. I'm going to bring it back to the committee. Is there any questions over any of these appropriations?
Yes, I just have and give me if you just said this, I might have missed it, but so it is also reduced by 500 from the general fund, right?
Yeah, so.
From the previous,
Yes, this substitute bill, we made this substitute bill, the original, I advertised it higher to allow for any last minute additional requests. So none came in, so we reduced that amount from, I think it was 3.9 million down to the 3.487 million.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions? I'm going to open it up for the public hearing. Thank you so much, Mr. Willis. Is there anyone here from the public wishing to speak in favor of substitute bill 6724?
I do not see anyone in person or online wishing to speak in favor.
Is there anyone wishing to speak against?
I do not see anyone in person or online that wishes to speak in opposition.
Thank you so much. We're going to close the public hearing on substitute bill 6724 and bring it back to the committee.
I move to send Bill 67-24 to the full council to the committee of the whole with a favorable recommendation.
It's been moved and seconded to bring substitute Bill 6724 to the Committee of the Whole with a favorable recommendation. Clerk Toronto, could you call the roll, please?
Committee Chair Nisgowsky,
Aye.
Councilmember White, Councilmember Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
Councilmember Lee,
Aye.
Councilmember Vice Chair Warner, Citizen Member Rossio. 6 ayes.
Thank you so much. Substitute Bill 6724 comes with a favorable recommendation. Okay, moving right along to Bill 6824. This is for amended 2025 Teamster Salary Ordinance. Take it away, Mr. Willis.
Hi, Willis City Controller, offices on the 12th floor. Bill number 68-24 amends the the 2025 Teamster Salary Ordinance. We're correcting a wage, wages in the waterworks construction and maintenance group, and also changing the language for the residency incentive payment from that's originally was stated as January. We are changing that to December. Here with me today is City Attorney Jenna Throw, who worked on the salary ordinance. If you have any additional questions regarding that.
Jenna, would you like to come up and say anything? And yes, I believe we spent many hours in Mr. Warner as well with the Teamsters negotiation and Karen White as well. That was
Yes.
quite the marathon.
Good afternoon, everyone. Jenna Throw, City Attorney with offices on the 12th floor of this building. As Mr. Willis explained, there are kind of two components of the bill regarding the 2025 salary ordinance. The wage portion involves the construction and maintenance work group. These are wages that were inadvertently left off the wage table, but are part of the agreement. And there are two positions that were previously called heavy equipment operator 1 and 2 that are now changed to just construction and maintenance 1 and 2, the addition of a construction and maintenance 3, and then a title change from a lead position to construction and maintenance lead. Those positions were in the agreement, but were one of the last updates to the agreement and were just inadvertently left off of the salary ordinance that was passed a month or so ago. And then you notice that there's several salary ordinance amendments in front of you this evening. They all contain the same change to the residency bonus. This is just to reflect the salary ordinances for 2024 and 2025 included language that provided for payment in January, but the intent and desire is that those payments are made in December. And so for all 4 of those ordinances, the 2024 that the council will get to later include just the change to move the payments to December. And then Mr. Willis will be speaking later to some other changes in the 2025 non-bargaining salary ordinance. But all 4 salary ordinances all contain the same language changes regarding residency pay.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate that explanation. Okay, is there any questions for? Nope. Pastor Lee, is he good up there? Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and open it up to the public hearing. Is there anyone here wishing to speak in favor of Bill 6824?
I do not see anyone in person or online wishing to speak in favor of the bill.
Is there anyone wishing to speak against?
I do not see anyone in person or online wishing to speak in opposition.
Thank you. I'm going to close the public hearing on the bill and bring it back to the committee. What's the pleasure of the committee regarding the bill?
68-24 be sent to the Committee of the Whole with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to send Bill 6824 to the Committee of the Whole with a favorable recommendation. Clerk Toronto, could you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Vice Chair Warner,
Aye.
Committee Chair Nisgowsky,
Aye.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
Councilmember Lee,
Aye.
Citizen Member Rossio.
Aye.
6 ayes.
Thank you. Bill 6824 will be sent to the Committee of the Whole with a favorable recommendation. So as you heard, 6924, 7024, and 7124 are all similar bills. So we'll start with that one and work down for 6924.
I would ask, can we consider 69-24 and 70-24 at the same time?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Clerk Toronto, could you call the roll?
Councilmember Lee,
Aye.
Councilmember Vice Chair Warner,
Aye.
Committee Chair Nisgowsky,
Aye.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
Citizen Member Rossio.
Aye.
6 ayes.
Thank you. So we'll hear both these bills together, 69 and 70-24.
Kyle Willis, City Controller, offices on the 12th floor. The change here for in Bill 6924 for the 2024 Teamster salary ordinance and 70-24, the non-bargaining salary ordinance amendment is to basically change the language for the residents incentive payment from January to December.
And that's for both bills.
That's for both bills.
Thank you so much. I'll bring it back to the committee. Any questions over that? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and open it up for the public hearing portion. Is there anyone here wishing to speak in favor?
I do not see anyone in person or online wishing to speak in favor of the bill.
Okay, is there anyone wishing to speak for the bill? Or
I do.
against?
I do not see anyone in person or online wishing to speak in opposition.
Thank you so much. We're going to close the public hearing. Bring it back to the committee. These two bills were heard together, but they'll have to be voted on separately. So I'll entertain a motion regarding Bill 6924.
Motion to send to the committee of the whole with a favorable recommendation. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Clerk Toronto, could you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Vice Chair Warner,
Aye.
Committee Chair Nisgowsky,
Aye.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
Councilmember Lee,
Aye.
Citizen Member Rossio.
Aye.
6 ayes.
Thank you. Bill 6924 will be sent to the committee of the whole with a favorable recommendation, and I'll entertain a motion regarding Bill 7024.
Same motion, 70-24 forward with a favorable recommendation. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Clerk Toronto, could you call the roll, please?
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
Councilmember Lee,
Aye.
Councilmember Vice Chair Warner,
Aye.
Committee Chair Nisgowsky,
Aye.
Citizen Member Rossio.
Aye.
6 ayes.
Thank you. Bill 70-24 will be sent to the committee of the whole with a favorable recommendation. Our last bill before us is Bill 7124.
Kyle Willis, City Controller, offices on the 12th floor. Bill number 71-24 has several amendments that will need to be made to the ordinance. One, the first being residency payment language, changing it from the payment being made from January to December. The second is a change in title from a Foreman 5 to Golf Hospitality Events Manager in the VPA Department, Golf Division. We're also reducing the salary cap for the Chief Development and Marketing Officer from $113,308 to $110,622 to be in line with the other chief positions in VPA. Next is we are removing the Deputy Director position from the VPA Department. And also another title change for the director that was formerly the Director of Development to the Director of Development and Special Events, and with the correction to the salary cap for 2025 of $84,003. And then the final one is the removal of the Director of Experience position.
Okay, thank you so much for that, your presentation. I'm going to bring it back to the committee. Any questions? Councilmember Warner?
I do. We just passed the budget. Why are we doing this now?
These were things that was left, well, this doesn't affect the budget. these positions in the budget are accurately budgeted for with these amounts that I've stated, but the titles were not correct in the ordinance when we passed it. So we're just doing this cleanup before we started off in 25.
So we're not changing the salary amounts, just changing titles?
There is the one or two that were incorrectly in the salary ordinance, but in our budget, they are correct. So we're just correcting it in the tracking of all of this in the ordinance.
So this has all been budgeted for, that the budget we just passed, but for somehow these entries were not reflective of that budget.
Yes, for example, like the chief director, the chief of development and marketing officer, we reduced we reduced the salary cap to $110,622. That is what is reflected in the budget for that position. It's just incorrect in the ordinance.
As well as the removing those other two positions as
Correct.
well.
Yes.
So they're not funded for, but they were never eliminated out of this.
Right.
And then,
Councilwoman, go ahead.
and then just a further clarification, you did answer it, but then the other two positions, it's not an increase. Actually, what we approved was 70,000 for the golf hospitality and 84.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so those are not true increases.
No, this is more administrative.
Okay. Corrections.
Mhm.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions?
I got it.
Corrected.
It's a little better.
Was that?
It's a little more tolerable that one.
Okay, if I see no other questions, then I'm going to go ahead and move to the public hearing portion. Is there anyone here or virtually wishing to speak in favor of Bill 7124? Is
There is no one from the public or online wishing to speak in favor.
there anyone wishing to speak against?
There is no one in person or online wishing to speak in opposition.
Thank you so much. I'm going to close the public hearing and come back to the committee. What's the pleasure of the committee regarding the bill?
Make a motion to send 7124 forward with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Clerk Toronto, could you call the roll?
Committee Chair Nisgowsky,
Aye.
Councilmember White,
Aye.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
Councilmember Lee,
Aye.
Councilmember Vice Chair Warner,
Aye.
Citizen Member Rossio.
Aye.
6 ayes.
Thank you so much. Bill 7124 will be sent to the committee of the whole with a favorable recommendation. If there's anything else to come before this committee, otherwise I'm going to go ahead and adjourn the committee. The next the next committee meeting is 5:45 with community investment. This
Mayor.
meeting is, yes,
If I may be recognized.
yes, please.
I want to thank you for your time and effort and work through the year. I know Councilmember White has been Personnel and Finance Chair, and it is the biggest lift on council. As she's shaking in agreement, and just want to acknowledge and commend you and thank you for that lift
Oh, thank you.
on behalf of the council and the residents.
Great job. Thank you.
Good job.
It's very kind to you. Thank you.
I know, I became very, very close with, it was Mr. Parker before, but, we were on the phone, multiple times a week, if not daily, trying to get things organized and set and, nice and compact and easy for the council to be able to review. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Warner. Okay, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you, Tom, for what it's worth.
Thank you, Kane.
Okay, we'll call the Community Investment Committee meeting to order. I will take roll call. Councilmember Tomas Morgan,
Present.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson,
Present.
Councilmember Gooden Rogers,
Present.
Citizen Member Tom Gripe, I see up there,
Present.
and Citizen Member Kane Kanajeski
Present.
is present. So all are present and accounted for. So as with every tax abatement, there's an initial bill that is the designating resolution, and then the confirming resolution. So this is two bills that we heard at the last meeting for Empower Her Development regarding the Old Hope Rescue Building and Jasmine Bradley. Hey, I got that. That's good memory, Troy. Jasmine Bradley's. She will not be joining us here this afternoon in committee, but will be at 7 p.m. Correct, Mr. Molnar?
That's
Okay.
correct.
So, Mr. Molnar, go ahead. Unless there is any objection, we are going to hear 2442 and 2443 jointly. Do I hear any objection? Go ahead, Mr. Molnar.
Thank you, Councilperson Warner. That was a very nice summary. So I don't have too much to add, but you did, the entire council and this committee saw this 2 weeks ago, so I'll be brief. But the property is located on the south part of downtown. It is a vacant old historic building dating to the mid-1920s. looking at a vacant building tax abatement as well as a mixed use real property tax abatement to incentivize the renovation of the building for a commercial kitchen, food market, as well as hotel, with the creation of at least 8 new full-time employees and an investment of a little over $1.6 million. Both the vacant building tax abatement, which would lower the estimated taxes by about 11,000, as well as the mixed use development real property tax abatement are to incentivize the rehabilitation of the building, which due to its aging condition, we do not believe would be able to survive a few more years if it did not receive this investment. And even after the abatement period over the next 10 years, the city would see the taxes increase without the project from about 106,000 to a little under 300,000 with the abatement and the project going forward as planned. And here is the end kind of vision with both the Monarch building and on the left and the Hope building on the right. The two projects are both part of her historic development, as well as Empower Her is the lead on the Hope building. And the idea is really to spruce up this entire block and see some life on the south edge of downtown. Happy to answer any questions that you had. And as Councilmember Warner said, Jasmine will be at the 7 o'clock meeting if you have any further questions.
I have a question, if it's all right.
Yes.
Go ahead, Mr. Gray.
Thank you. Is there any consequences relating to this abatement if the developer is unsuccessful to get the necessary funding and nothing ever happens at these sites?
For the for the mixed use real property abatement, no. Essentially, we're only abating the council would only be abating the new value generated from the improvements. So if there were no improvements, it's essentially washed anyway. The vacant tax abatement, I guess, would in that case, there would be that loss of $11,000 in value. But certainly we think that is a very slight risk to take in order to try to see some investment in the property. But the vast majority of the abatement is dependent upon investment occurring.
Okay, so effectively, and this is worst case scenario, that if nothing happens and that building stays vacant, the city will just be off that difference, about $11,000 on the vacant building abatement, correct?
That would be correct, yeah.
All right.
Just for those
Thank you.
2 years, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good question, Mr. Gray. And I think really that building, I think we talked about this, the last meeting is in such a condition that, yeah, likely, maybe near demolition in the next.
Probably next
5 to
decade, 5 to 10 years, if nothing would be
if
happening.
Nothing happens to it. So any kind of positive momentum forward is good. And then, as Mr. Molnar said, the tax abatements are one of our kind of best economic tools because we don't have to spend out any tax dollars. And if the project doesn't actually happen, then there's no tax increase on the property, no assessed value increase. So there's no deduction and no tax break for the individual if they don't.
And this
improve the
building's
value of the building. So.
And this building is almost the perfect example for when we try to use the vacant tax abatement, because that was specifically designed to help individuals who are taking on a troubled property and trying to put some life into it to give them some wiggle room at the beginning. It's not an ideal tool to be used for a building that's fine and it is in no issue. It's only for these, derelict vacant buildings.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Bolden Simpson.
Thank you. I have a question. I remember during the last presentation, there was some talk about Ms. Bradley having access to Ready Grant and that you were helping. So how far out is that? And could you enlighten me and educate me on what will the Ready Grant do for her?
Certainly. Well, I'll try my best because it's not 100% my specialty, but I do know the Ready 2.0 program is a grant program by the state that is intended to incentivize, redevelopment in cities and in, the regions that were awarded the grants. It's supposed to use public-private partnerships to help projects that might not be viable without it. I believe they did submit their application. The city did support it. The mayor signed a letter intending to support the project. So if those Ready grants are approved, which I believe the issue date is December 18th, they would be with the award and then we would move through the process from there. But that's where we are with Ready right now. But the city staff of economic development did support the application to Ready.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
I'm going to add one part into that. Every Ready Award requires some local government match.
Mhm.
Generally, it's 20%. So the city and the tax abatements can go towards that, TIF dollars,
Mhm.
other improvements. So this, we would, whatever that state funding of the Ready grant, then the city would have to in some way match 20% of that. Yeah.
Mhm.
So we've done that with, or the other projects we've had. Well, there's a
The
lot.
Ward Bakery building was awarded last year. That's one that's kind of a similar scale to this one of renovation of vacant buildings.
Councilmember Thomas Morgan.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Mr. Molnar. What is the time frame for construction here? I know it's there. I couldn't remember. Maybe I'm getting redevelopment memos of agreements mixed up. Whether we put timelines in our tax abatement.
There's a
Um,
designation period,
yeah.
and I believe it's 3 years. So they have
Okay.
3 years to make those improvements for the real property tax abatement.
Okay. It's a 3-year, and that isn't in this memo of agreement, a designation period.
It's in the actual resolution.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm looking at the.
yeah,
Thank you.
it's the designation period called out in the resolution.
Okay, thanks. And then just to clarify, I couldn't remember, are there already redevelopment dollars to this or not yet?
Not yet.
Okay,
Not yet, that's the
After
portion with
Ready.
Ready. So then we would go to the redevelopment commission and request, most likely TIF funding.
Right.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Anybody online? Seeing none, we're going to open up to the public. Any members of the public wishing to speak on the two resolutions, 2442 and 2443? In person or online? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the committee. We do have to take two separate votes on this. So first we'll start with Bill 2442.
I
What's your pleasure?
move that we send 24-42 to the full council with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
A motion and a second to send forward with a favorable. Clerk, can you please do the roll call for us?
Yes. Councilmember Gooden Rogers,
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson,
Aye.
Councilmember Vice Chair Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
Committee Chair Warner,
Aye.
Citizen Member Kane Kantuszewski,
Aye.
Citizen Member Thomas Scribe.
Aye.
6 ayes.
Thank you. And now I will accept the motion for Bill 2443.
That we send Bill 2443 to the council with full recommendation.
Second.
Motion and a second. Clerk, can you please do a roll call?
Councilmember Gooden Rogers,
Aye.
Councilmember Bolden Simpson,
Aye.
Councilmember Vice Chair Thomas Morgan,
Aye.
Committee Chair Warner,
Aye.
Citizen Member Kane Kantuszewski,
Aye.
Citizen Member Thomas Scribe.
Aye.
6 ayes.
Both bills will go forward. We'll look forward to seeing Ms. Bradley tonight. Thank you, Mr. Molnar. And with that, the Community Investment Committee is adjourned.